The psychologist today, which I am bringing here, is none other than a beautiful personality that is Dr. Mamta Nanda.
Initially, to start with, psychology was all about the behavior. Why
Yes.
behavior? Because behavior is the only thing which is visible.
And I
Yes.
want you to come up with certain tips for the parents that
Okay.
how they can bring up the children on the psychological aspect so that when they grow up they don't find any kind of hassles and any kind of hurdle in their personality. Hi, good evening. Today we are here with a new guest, and this episode is there for the those human beings, those who are very sensitive, very emotional, and looking towards the human behavior, right? So can you guess whom I have brought as a guest today on my show? Before I start, I introduce my guest. I would like to just come up with a beautiful quote, and you can guess. Our attitude towards life determines life's attitude towards us. Written by John Mitchell. John Mitchell has very clearly presented here that our attitude is what makes our whole life. So, now to improve our attitude and to learn many good things, intricacies of life through a psychologist's and the psychologist today, which I am bringing here, is none other than a beautiful personality that is Dr. Mamta Nanda. She is a very highly qualified psychologist and as well as an MBBS doctor. So, what else do you want? You don't need anything else for a proper guidance. So, now here, all the audience, I am requesting all the audience to keep your questions ready, and whatever queries you have got, you can put it across in below in the comment section, and we'll be always ready to answer your queries. So, with that, I'll switch over to the special guest, Dr. Mamta Nanda. Doctor, you are welcome on our show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anita. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. We are also very blessed to have you here on this show because the audience are always looking for little bit of tits and bits here and there. The complete internet is flooded with knowledge, is flooded with things, but the authentic knowledge is the one which only the specialist gives. And I think you are the appropriate one who can uh, clear the doubts of our audience, and our audience is always ready to listen to you. So with
Right.
this, yes, with this, we can start our podcast today. And I would just like to request you to just give us a little bit of glimpse about what you do and what is your forte in your psychology field.
Sure. So I am Dr. Mamta, as Anita told, and I am a psychologist by profession. I did my MBBS and then I did a master's in psychology. I shifted my careers because I was very interested in studying how our mind works, how we can deal with our stresses. It was something which really intrigued me, and
Right.
what we do in our work is that. Anybody who comes to us with any emotional problems, when people even cannot deal with their life stresses. So, this is our job to help them cope with it, to make them resilient, to help them
Right.
deal with their own emotional issues. That is it.
Exactly. Exactly, exactly. So, with this beautiful introduction of Dr. Mamta here, I would just come up with a very layman question that how has psychology as a subject evolved with time?
Certainly. Initially, to start with, psychology was all about the behavior. Why
Yes.
behavior? Because behavior is the only thing which is visible.
How would you treat them? As I'm just talking on the behalf of the audience. That suppose they come to you with any issue, right? So, what do you think? What kind of approach a psychologist takes? Suppose I'm talking on the behalf of that audience who's afraid of approaching a psychologist, right?
Okay.
So, in the mind of that client, or you can call a person who
Yeah.
is scared of coming to a psychologist or who is fearful of coming to a psychologist, how would you, present yourself right here itself in this show?
Our
Correct.
thoughts are not visible,
Very true.
emotions are not visible, it is only the behavior that is visible.
Yes.
But over the
Yes.
time, psychology evolved from studying behavior to studying thoughts and studying emotions.
Yes.
Even
Okay.
so much so that talking of Freud, Sigmund Freud, I'm sure everybody's heard of him.
Right.
Chief
Right.
of the
Sigmund.
psychologists. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Father of psychology. So
Yes.
Sigmund Freud, when those people they did psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis was basically pessimistic in nature. Uh, Pessimistic in the sense that they believe that our childhood decides all our life. So what
Yes.
happened in the past is going to happen in the future. For example,
Okay.
William Faulkner said that past is not even the past. We are
Right.
living in each day of our life.
Yes.
So the psychologists, the early psychologists like Freud, Carl Jung, they all believed that past was more important. But as we progressed on, we had psychologists like Maslow. They believed that it's not the past, but what we do is what matters the most.
Mm. Correct.
Maslow gave a hierarchy of needs, right? So he said our basic needs are the physiological needs,
Yes.
food, right? Physiological,
Um,
the bodily needs. The second level
Absolutely.
is our security needs. You know, we need a job, we need a house, we need to be
Right.
secure. And
Right.
once we have reached those needs, we move on to the relationship needs, love and belongingness. Right? And
Yes.
once we have achieved that, we start looking up for esteem needs.
Hmm.
We need a status, we need some,
Correct.
some status in the society we move around in. Right?
Correct.
And the
Correct.
last need is self-actualization need. Self-actualization is trying to achieve your full potential, living up to your complete potential. Right?
Right.
So
Right.
this category of psychologists, from pessimists, they moved on to the optimistic
Right.
mindset.
Right. 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 Right.
So if we keep
Yes.
working on ourselves, we can achieve, whatever we want to achieve.
Yes. We can improve. And so, to sum it up, what you have said for the clearance or clarity of the audience, I would just sum it up like human behavior flows from three sources. Like you said, first is what a person wants, like his desires, right? And second, emotions, what he wants, what he
Right.
wishes, right? And lastly, is the knowledge. And if he has got a perfect knowledge, he'll be the happiest one on the earth. If these three are appropriately understood, right? Very beautifully you have put it across. Yes. So here with this question, one more question is coming up that what, in your opinion, is the need of psychology and psychologists in the modern scenario of the society? You have seen that it's lots of demand is there today, which
Right.
was not a decade before. But
Certainly.
now the time in the society needs more and more psychologists. What, in
Gee.
your opinion, what, in your opinion, is the need of psychologists?
Certainly, because why the need is increasing? Because the stress has increased. The everyday
Yes,
stress, starting
yes,
from very young children. I
right.
think my youngest client I have seen is 5 years old. So even in young children, very young children,
Okay.
our school curriculums are so stressful to start with.
Mm-hmm.
There is
Very true.
such a demand on school kids to perform well, to do well
Mm-hmm.
in their classes.
Yes, yes.
So because there's so much competition among the schools,
Very true. Very true.
everybody has to give some results, right?
Right.
So starting with school children, college kids, even more, right? Because
Mm.
there is as the demands of capitalist society, everybody has a need to perform well, to do well in life, to earn well. So, and then social media has a very big role in it.
Very
With
true.
social
Very
media, we come to know what everybody else is doing, which we never knew
yes,
a few years back. You know,
yes, yes.
we were good in our own spaces, no matter what we were doing.
Correct, correct.
But now it's so easy to compare. We know what people are doing. We know what our neighbors are doing, what our friends are doing,
Absolutely,
what our
absolutely.
colleagues are doing. The vacations they are going in, the amount
Yes,
of success they are having. That
yes.
puts another pressure onto the individual.
Mm.
It's
Right, right, right.
comparison is never healthy. It never serves anything. It never gives
Absolutely.
us anything.
Absolutely, you are absolutely correct. So, you have gone through as a psychologist, you've studied emotional intelligence and stress management, if
Yes,
I'm correct. Yes. So,
absolutely right.
yes, yes. So, what do you think that stress management is crucial in individuals' life? Very crucial.
Yeah, sorry. Please complete your question.
Yes. What do you think stress management, how it is crucial in individuals' life?
You see, what happens is that almost 80% of our thought process is formed by the age of 7 to 8 years.
Okay.
Right? So, depending upon the environment, depending upon our caretakers, and also the individual's own perception of that environment, right? That makes our thought process in a very early life. So, it's kind of a subconscious programming which happens to us as kids, to all of
Okay.
us.
Okay.
And now this programming is by default because
Right.
we had no active role in making that thought process. We
Hmm.
had no active role in making those beliefs, right? They were
Yes.
just programmed into us by default in early life. So now
Right.
with that same mindset, which was developed in a very early life, those
Mhm.
same limited beliefs, those same thought processes, we keep thinking throughout our lives because we
Yes.
have never actively worked on our lives, right?
Right.
If I ask you today, is there anything you are using which you are using when you were 7 years old? I'm
Hmm.
sure the answer is no, right?
No, no.
But we are still using the same minds. We are still
My
using those same outdated beliefs we held when
right,
we were that young,
right, right, right,
right?
right.
So
Yes.
now everything has changed so much.
Right.
So we also need to work on our beliefs, we need to work on our minds, need to work on our thoughts to adapt ourselves to the current environment,
Right.
right?
Right.
So that is why it is very important to learn how to deal with the present stresses of our lives
Right.
because what we have at our disposal is that same outdated programming we had when we were seven
Right.
years old.
Right. Right. Yes. So that reminds me that it's correctly said that humans behave the way they have been of their nature and nurture.
Absolutely.
Yes,
50% both have a
yes.
role.
I want to sum it up what you have explained, that
Sure.
the way we are nurtured in our childhood and also the nature we have taken from that.
Yes,
So
certainly.
both the things have amalgamated and made a complete personality of us.
Certainly, yes,
Very, very
absolutely right.
clearly and very simplified manner you have explained the whole thing. The audience might have got it. The crux of the thing is human behavior. How to mold it, it will become that only. Very nice. So,
Absolutely.
right. And so you have mentioned that you go through some therapies when you are dealing with the people, right?
Yes,
uh, does this the therapies which you are taking the help of to
yes,
conduct those on your clients, do you
yes.
think that this works on this principle only?
Yeah, yeah. I understand what you're asking.
Hmm.
The therapies that we use, say,
Hmm.
I'll to name a few. First would be a very important therapy is cognitive behavior therapy,
Okay.
started by Dr. Aaron Beck.
Okay.
So, cognitions are our thought processes, and behavior, of course, is our actions and what we do, right? So, it is
Hmm.
focused on these two things. Cognitive
Hmm.
behavior therapy helps us deal with our thoughts.
Hmm.
How can, like I told you, our thought processes are programmed very early in our lives.
Okay.
So, CBT or cognitive behavior therapy helps us deal with our thoughts. And
Okay.
because our thoughts give rise to our emotions and our emotions drive our behavior, it's also focused on to changing the behavior to deal with whatever we are dealing with,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Then there is another therapy, rational emotive behavior therapy, or REBT in short, okay, which was started by Dr. Albert Ellis. And
Hmm.
that therapy is focused mainly on the beliefs. So many
Okay.
times we talk about limiting beliefs, right, which we
Hmm.
hold.
Right.
Like I also
Right.
mentioned, we have those
Right.
outdated beliefs, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it is focused on to our beliefs. What you mentioned in the beginning about attitude, the first
Right.
thing you mentioned, right?
Same.
By
Yes.
starting the talk, you said it's our attitude. The
Attitude.
beliefs are basically our attitude towards things.
Very true. Very true.
So this attitude is basically what our beliefs are, how we look at things. For
Yes.
example, how I look at myself. Do
Okay.
I think that I'm a competent person or do I think that I'm useless?
Yes.
How I
Obviously.
look at others, my attitude towards others, that is my belief. So, do I feel that people are mean and selfish, or do I feel they're good and bad people everywhere? Thirdly,
Yes.
how I see
Yes. Yes.
life. Do I see life as something very difficult, or do I see life as something which has its ups and downs, and we just have to make our way through it, right? And
Right.
lastly, how do I see future? Do I see
Hmm.
future as a threat, or do I see future as something which, if I do my actions of today, future will take care of itself?
Hmm. Yes.
So, REBT therapy is focused on beliefs. It helps us change our limiting beliefs, change our unhealthy beliefs into healthy beliefs or helpful beliefs.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
There's another
Yes.
very important therapy, ACT therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy.
Okay.
Very, very effective therapy in helping us managing our thoughts, managing our emotions, being mindful.
Okay.
And lastly, DBT, dialectical behavior therapy. Although they say that it is basically for borderline people, but
Mm-hmm.
it is helpful for anybody and everybody who follows it up.
Okay. Right. Right. So this these was very important and very beneficial to the audience also, those who are watching, that don't worry if you have got to approach a psychologist. Don't keep this in mind that there's something wrong with you. It is not like that. When you are coming to a psychologist, it psychologist will only help you to grow into a better human being. If you have got any
Absolutely.
kind of confusion, or you are stuck somewhere in your thought process, maybe that thought process is not of any use now. So these are certain things which I think psychologist is the best person to help you and guide you. So uh,
Absolutely. We help
right.
you make more resilient. We help
Very good.
you learn how to cope with whatever you're going through.
Right. Very true. So, in a sense, we can say the motto of psychology is also this: to understand the human behavior and mind, right?
Yes,
That they get stuck somewhere, and when they get into depression, they get into stress, and stress is nothing. Stress, I think, is just a kind of our own approach towards life, our own attitude towards life, and the psychologist will help you. He will show you the proper path, and a
true, very true.
psychologist will help you. Yes,
Certainly,
it is.
absolutely.
Right. So, I think I would just like to ask you that if in the audience, some people may are influenced with your, whatever therapies you do, and they are in trouble, they want to meet you, how would they contact you?
They can go on to my website at
Okay.
www.drmamtananda.com and
Right.
they can approach me there. We have a portal,
Okay.
they can directly contact me through my website.
Okay. Do you have conduct some workshops also for the people?
Yes, yes. We do take workshops. Like I've taken workshops with the doctors, lady doctors, then hospital staffs. Then even I've taken workshops with the army personnel and their families, and even
Okay.
with the we have a police training center here
Okay.
in Philor.
Right.
I've taken workshop with stress management workshop with them also.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. So you are doing a wonderful job for, people in stress, and especially these people, they are working a lot in a very different scenario. So
True, absolutely.
they're away from their families, and it really takes a lot of mental, burden. And if you're helping them, it's I think God's work, which we people psychologists are doing. So this is with this, I just want to ask you one specific question: that how would a person, like, suppose a layman who's listening to this podcast, he doesn't understand the idea about stress. They- and someone, even people don't know that they are suffering from stress. This is the basic issue. You got
Right.
to tell them, yes, you are suffering from stress, but the person will say, no, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm not suffering from any stress and all. But he is suffering from stress. Right.
Right,
As a psychologist, you may understand that yes, you can just watch him and you can understand that he's suffering from stress, right?
yes.
And so, how can you find out whether they are suffering from stress, as most of the people are not even aware of it? How can what examples, one or two hints you can just give to the audience?
Sure. So the point is that you want to know that how do we know that a person is suffering from stress, right?
Yes.
So the first thing is here that of course the first so many times you have also mentioned the most visible part is the behavior, right?
Yes.
We can't see
Yes.
their emotions, we can't see their
Correct.
thoughts, we can
Yes.
certainly see the behavior. So
Right.
what people very easily do is one thing one what when people are suffering from stress, they uh, take unhealthy coping mechanisms. They use unhealthy coping mechanisms because they don't know
Okay.
what are healthy coping mechanisms. Right?
Okay.
You see, people
Right.
taking smoking, drinking. I have a client who took to gambling, online gambling,
My
because
God.
he was in a lot
Just
of
to
stress.
relieve the stress.
Yes,
Mm.
it is like a distraction. We call them distraction skills, which we
Exactly.
use to
Yeah.
distract our mind from whatever pain we are going through in life.
Right.
Right? But
Right.
these are unhealthy coping mechanisms. Right? Some
Yes.
people do a lot of emotional eating also, very common.
Very common. Especially I've seen in females. This
Yes.
is
Women do it a lot.
yes.
It makes them feel good. Right? When we
Hmm.
eat, we feel good. Right? So
Right.
there are a lot of number one. This is from the behavior. We see that there is some unhealthy coping mechanisms the person is doing. Then
Okay.
talking about emotions, you see, all negative emotions are not unhealthy to start with.
Okay.
We rate our emotional stress from on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the maximum stress and 1 being the minimum, right? So talking of the intensity of the emotions, 0
Right.
to 5 is not really unhealthy. That can be coped with, that
Okay.
can be dealt with, that can be managed. But
Right.
once the intensity is very high, that certainly that person needs help, who has an emotional negative emotional intensity of 9 or 10 or 7 or 8.
Okay. Okay.
Then negative emotions, I was telling you, all are not unhealthy. You see,
Mhm.
somebody's pet dies, and if he's not unhappy even if for 2 days, that is also not natural,
Yes,
right?
obviously.
It's just natural for a person to be sad for a few days, right?
Okay.
But if that sadness increases so much in intensity or duration कि वो 6 महीने ही he was so sad for 6 months together, say, that it starts interfering in his day-to-day life, then
Okay.
the emotion has become unhealthy.
Yeah.
That is when an
Ex-
intervention is required, an
ex-
outer help is required.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yes, you have given very basic and very simple things which most of the common people they neglect, or not neglect, you can call overlook it. They don't
Yes,
even they don't even ponder on these things. That
right,
these things are happening,
true,
right? So the basic reason and why I think the psychology is not going into the masses, because the common people think that psychologist is a person to whom we go when we are mentally sick. This is a generalized opinion.
right,
What I have seen that we have to consult a psychologist only when we are in trouble, or we are facing some issue, mental
right,
issue.
true,
So, yes, beautifully you have put it across that uh, these are certain, markers you can call
right,
markers for the human being where they should stop and
true,
they should, look inside that what is going wrong with oneself. Whether
right,
it is any family member, whether it is a friend, or whether it is you yourself.
absolutely,
You don't understand. And so I think my appeal to all the audience who is watching here, that please, if you find any person around you, please go for help. And if you are yourself suffering from, don't waste even a minute. Just go approach a psychologist, and your life will be smooth as ever. And you will be a completely changed personality. The psychologist helps you to come out of your, mind. Actually, you are just in your mind. We always say, na, that problems are always in the mind.
right.
On the ground, there is no problem. There is
Mostly, yes, true,
in the mind, we make it a bigger one. Otherwise, in practical, I think the problem, if we, come up with whole mind and soul, the problem is not anymore a problem. So,
true,
for the audience, I would just like to come up with one beautiful line that you got to see, that a bad attitude is like a flat tire. Have you seen a tire of a vehicle? It is just like a flat tire. It will not get you anywhere
right,
until you change it. And
true.
when you change it, you will put a new tire on it and your vehicle will go faster. Right? So,
Very well put.
so your bad attitude is not your anything. You don't have to feel guilty about it. That
Absolutely,
is what the human nature always is afraid of. Humans are always afraid of. Like
true,
the children also. When they have a bad attitude, children get scared that ma'am is going to scold me, right? Or mother is going to scold me. The child is submitting. if he's a frank, he's a bold child, he will obviously go and seek help from his parents or his teachers. So that things are sorted, and in this way, the human beings also can approach the psychologist, and it will be a shortcut to getting a better life for yourself and the people around. Right. And I have seen the person who's suffering, he is suffering more, but the people around are suffering more than them also, because they have got
Certainly.
to deal with him. They,
Absolutely right.
they have got to deal with that, that you can call not appreciable attitude of his, not appreciated behavior. Nobody likes. They don't hate the person; they hate the behavior.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. This
Very
is
right.
very important. That what human nature tells, that no, he is bad. He is a bad guy. He doesn't talk to us properly. He is a bad guy. But if you see from the eyes of a psychologist, he can understand that it's not the guy who's bad. It is his attitude which is bad.
Right.
And if he
Absolutely.
changes it, he improves it, he tries to make some amendments in his behavior. So maybe a friendless person becomes a person with lots of friends around. And
Absolutely.
it is the same goes with everyone, every human being. And I
Right.
think, what in my view, psychologists, you have to take psychologist as your friend, right? If you take psychologist as your friend, he'll be the best person to change your whole life. It's just in a
Right.
moment, I think. It's just a moment. Psychologists can just put the things across in a proper manner. So,
Absolutely.
for the audience, I would just like to convey this message that psychologist is not a person to be seen in a different with a different lens. He's there to help you.
Right.
He's there to bring you out of that, drudgery. If you have got
Certainly.
if you're sad, I think I'll give you an example that if a person is sad and if he goes to a psychologist, he talks to him just for an hour or so, he'll come out happily. Now, what to talk about the bigger things? It's just a petty thing what I'm telling. If one is sad, and I think the psychologist is the best person to make you happy.
Yeah.
Right. So
Right.
he takes out the best of you. He takes
Yes.
out the best in you and helps you sort out your happenings in your life.
Right.
Yeah. Because now see, you may be having Dr. Mamta, you may be having many clients in coming over to you.
You see, certainly everybody coming to us comes with a different mindset. Okay.
Yes,
Some
yes,
people are not aware at all of how it helps, how it works. They come with a lot
yes,
of apprehensions. I have
right.
clients who, even yesterday, I had a client. Um, she had a lot of apprehensions about taking counseling because she had never taken therapy.
Very
So,
good.
like one of her friends, she introduced her to me, and through her she came. But she was so apprehensive. So just
Obviously.
before the session, I had taken her session actually yesterday.
Okay.
So she talked about whatever issues she had, and of course I guided her accordingly. But today, just before the session, she texted me that yes, it was very helpful, but I could not even tell you more than half of the things because I was so scared. But
Yes.
now, after one session, she says my fears have gone down, and I will certainly share it all with you in the next session. So I said,
Beautiful.
wonderful.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah,
So, so I think this is the way how psychologists need to approach the common people, so that more and more people approach you. Right?
certainly, absolutely.
Yes. yes. So
Those
it
fears
was
are natural. You see, those fears. I told you, not all negative
yes,
emotions are unhealthy. You know,
very true,
sometimes
very
they are absolutely justified. Whenever
just
we go and do something new, we are a
right,
little apprehensive, and it's just like
right,
just for therapy also. You know,
right, right.
if it's something
Exactly,
very new for a person, the person will have apprehensions, and they're totally
exactly.
understandable.
Exactly, exactly. And when you talk to a psychologist, he'll, not touch your weak parts. He'll touch your strong parts, strong points in your life, and you get an encouragement. And in that way you can open up freely to the psychologist, and being a psychologist, and for the sake of the audience, I would just like to ask you that, suppose if a client comes to you with his personal issues, what some people have, I have also spoken to many of my friends. They say that no, we are very shy to share our personal things with the psychologist, right?
Yes,
Maybe they'll judge us, maybe they start, they speak to somebody, they speak to some of our known people, right?
yes.
Then what? So this is also some of the apprehensions. What would you say for that?
Uh, Sorry, can you come again? The voice was
That
breaking, please.
yes, that the some people are very shy enough to come to a psychologist, thinking
Yes.
that they should not know your backstory, or your
Okay.
something happened in your life, right? That is also one of the apprehension which the people don't come to a psychologist.
I understand. Okay, right. I get your point.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
the point here is that yes, certainly not everyone is very open to
readily.
opening
Yeah,
up their whole life stories, and it's
yes,
absolutely right, absolutely understandable.
yes,
Because you see, when somebody comes to us for the first time, we are a stranger to that person.
correct.
We can't talk everything to a stranger, right? So it sometimes takes time for that rapport to build, right? Like I gave you the example of the client of mine who just texted me sometime before the session. So the first time she had so many apprehensions, she didn't share much about her life.
Right.
But
Yes,
then once the client gets comfortable, that is when they open up.
right, right. And
When
and
we
the
approach our clients through acceptance, sorry,
right, right. And they should, I think, they should have that confidence that if you are confiding on the psychologist, he is having certain, authenticity. That if they are psychologists, they are not going to spread you across your story
Not
or your
certainly, certainly. Our clients have the doctor-client privilege.
yes,
By profession, I'm bound not to talk about anybody's what they have talked to me in the
personal life.
session to
Right,
anybody, not even
right.
to their own family without their
Yes,
permission. I
yes,
had a client, the father-in-law came to me and he shared some of his issues he was facing. And once he went back, his daughter-in-law called me and she says that, what did he talk to you? I said, I cannot share with you without his permission. So
right, right.
whatever we talk in the room with me stays in that room. It never goes
Very,
out.
very. And this confidence is needed for
Yes.
each and every person who wants to approach a psychologist. That
Yes.
is, I think, the biggest hurdle.
Yes.
What
Especially
stops?
in case of children, I have seen.
Yes, yes,
Children, if we start sharing everything the child says to us in session to the parents, the child will never come again. The child
correct.
will never develop that trust.
Very
Because
true.
as it is, children are very, very fearful of sharing things about their parents to anybody else. It takes
Yes.
a lot of trust for, to make a child share things with you.
Right, right. So I think this is needed. This was needed that through this show of mine, I would like to convey to the audience that please don't hesitate to approach a psychologist whenever you feel that you are in need of one. Please
Yes.
approach with an open mind and never hesitate to think and don't have preconceived ideas. If you speak to a psychologist, he will help you to come out of your, mess. And this mess will become your message.
True.
And that message will help you to grow further and forget about your past and your whatever issues you have in your past life. It will surely, the psychologist will show you a path to move forward in a positive manner.
Right.
So, in the end, I would just like to give you an opportunity to share with the audience what one or two message you want to convey to the audience as a psychologist. Because I'll tell you the reason. Because my audience is most of them they are parents, and I'm a parenting coach, and I
Yes.
want you to come up with certain tips for the parents that
Okay.
how they can bring up the children on the psychological aspect so that when they grow up they don't find any kind of hassles and any kind of hurdle in their personality.
All right, wonderful.
Yeah.
Although you are a parenting coach, so you
Yeah.
should ask me to talk to the parents. You
Yes.
very well do that. But now
Uh,
that you have, I'll certainly share some insights. Most of the parents are generally just focused on to the child's behavior. He is
okay.
doing that, she doesn't do this.
Okay. Yes.
All the
Yes.
focus of a
Yes.
parent is on the child's behavior.
Yes.
What they need to remember that every behavior comes from our emotions. We
Exactly.
are not even aware of what the child is feeling. We are not
Exactly.
even thinking on those
That,
terms, on those
right.
lines.
Right.
A child throws a tantrum, you're just seeing the tantrum, right? Why he's doing it, what is the feeling? Most of the children are just asking for attention. So
Exactly.
always, for a parent, encourage your child to talk about their emotions in words. According to emotional intelligence, every emotion has a need to be expressed, and the best way to take your emotion out is through words, by talking about your emotions in words. Why is it important? Because where we end up in life, how far your child can go, doesn't depend upon his IQ or his or her IQ. It depends upon his or her emotional quotient or the EQ. It is the EQ which decides our long term happiness and long term success in life. So,
Very
if most of the children just don't know how they to express their emotions, even they don't even know what they are actually feeling. So many
yes.
children, when I ask them, "What are you feeling?" they'll just tell me very cute words like "कि अजीब लग रहा है." You know, it's a very common thing because they cannot
Very,
name the emotion,
yes.
right? So they
Yes.
don't have that vocabulary of words which explain emotions. So it is
Correct.
very important for the parent to encourage the child to keep talking about his or her emotions. And when the child talks about their emotions, always validate every emotion. Show
Wonderful.
understanding, show empathy. Do not judge
Wonderful.
an emotion. Don't say that there is no need to be angry about it, there is no need to be sad about it. Nobody can control what emotions come to us, you know. So always validate every emotion by showing understanding and empathy. Say that I understand what you feel. But here, validate every emotion, but don't validate every behavior. Set limits on behavior, right?
Absolutely. Wonderful. Wonderful. With that beautiful, golden nugget from your side, we are so very blessed, and the audience may be getting so many important ideas. And all those who are watching, I would like you to put your comments in the comment section. And if you've got any questions for Mamta Nanda to answer those. She'll be very happy to reply to your questions. And with that, And I would like to inform that this episode will also be on the YouTube after a while. And with this Facebook Live session, I would like to thank all my audience, those who are watching, and I am very proud of myself that I am able to invite Dr. Mamta Nanda on my show today, and we got so many blessings from her, her suggestions, and all the important aspects of parenting in the end were really awesome. And with
Thank
that,
you so much.
thank all the Mamta Nanda ji. We will be inviting you again on our show, and we will be looking forward for this opportunity. And thank you so much for giving your valuable time to us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Same here.